I'm Captain Sipperly, and currently holding an acting deputy chief's position. Welcome everybody to the Ward 6 community meeting. It's our goal to share some of the statistics of crime impacting Ward 6 and then to kind of open it up and address any questions or concerns of crime that has been occurring in Ward 6. And hopefully we can find some type of resolution to solve your problems or kind of create additional plans to address those issues if we're not able to resolve it tonight. Just to let you know, from the police department, we have Zara Charles. She is our new crime analyst with Takoma Park Police. We also have Captain Butler. He is the commander of the Criminal Investigations Division. And we have myself and Lieutenant Williams, who is the Operations Division Commander, present. And I also like to thank Council Member Searcy and Council Member Dybala for attending. We appreciate you joining us. So at this point, what I'm going to do is ask Zara to give a brief presentation on some statistics of what crime has occurred in the city, as well as a breakdown of crimes that have occurred in Ward 6 so far.
Okay. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so good night to everyone. So today we are going to focus on the year-to-date or the first half of the year Ward 6 statistics. This presentation focuses on Takoma Park Police Department Part 1 crimes in the first half of 2021 compared to the first half of 2022. We'll also be focusing on the crime overview with a concentration on Ward 6, the top 5 repeated locations in Ward 6, which include 1329 University Boulevard and 1301 University Boulevard and the nearest other addresses. We'll also be looking at the percentage of larcenies at Walgreens and the 7-Eleven compared to the entire Ward 6. So here we have the graph showing the difference between 2021 and 2022, the first half of 2021 versus the first half of 2022. Here we could see that larceny is up. Also, the total crime is up by 8%. Here is a map which depicts the various Part 1 crimes which occurred across the city between January 1st and July 1st, 2022. As we go on through the rest of the slides, there'll be the breakdown of the various crimes, etc. So here, the overall statistics. Crime has increased by 8% in the January 1st to July 1st period. In the first half of the year 2021, the total Part 1 crime was 321, whereas in the first half of this year, 2022, the total Part 1 crime, that's at 347. The Part 1 crimes with a decrease are homicide, 3 versus 1, which is a 66.67% decrease. Rape, 4 versus 1, 75% decrease. Theft from auto, 151 versus 96, so that's a 36.42% decrease. Part 1 crimes with an increase, we have assaults at 8 versus 27 with an increase of 237.50%. Burglary, 24 versus 38 with an increase of 58.32%. Larceny, 90 versus 138 with an increase of 53.33%. And auto theft, 23 versus 28 with an increase of 21.74%. The part one crimes with no change, that's robbery, which remained constant, 18 versus 18 with a 0%. Ward 6 is in the majority with the 42% crime. There were increases in Ward 2, 34.01%, Ward 3, 46.15%, and Ward 6 with a 9.02% compared to the year 2021 time period. Ward 4 decreased by 17.39%, and Ward 5 decreased by 45.83%. This pie chart depicts the different wards and their percentages compared to the entire city. Ward 1 is at 10%, Ward 2 is at 17%, Ward 3, 22%, Ward 4, 5%, Ward 5, 4%, and Ward 6, 42%. This is the wards comparison, first half of year 2021 versus first half of the year 2022. So as we could see last year, Ward 1 was at 41 total crime versus this year at 35 with a 22.22%. Ward 2 was at 44 versus 59. Ward 3, 52 versus 76. Ward 4, 23 versus 19. Ward 5, 24 versus 13. And Ward 6, 133 versus 145. With our total comparisons being 321 versus 347. This is the breakdown of the various Part 1 crimes in Ward 6. Last year time period versus this year time period. Homicides last year was at 2. This year we have 0 with a percentage decrease of 100%. Rape is constant, 1 last year, 1 this year. Robbery was 8 last year. This year in the time period, it's at 10 with a 25% increase. Assaults were 4 last year. This year it's at 14 with a 250% increase. Burglary was 6 last year and 6 this year, so this remained constant as well. Larceny, however, there have been a great increase. 49 last year, and this year it's at 87 with a 77.55% increase. Theft from auto, 55 last year, 17 this year, so that's a marked decrease of 69.09%. Auto theft, last year we were at 8, this year we are at 10, so that's a 2 reports increase, which makes it 25%. This is the breakdown per month. So homicide remained at 0. Rape, there was 1 in April. Robbery, 1 in February, 1 in March, 4 in April, 3 in May, 1 in June. None this year is up till July 1st. So as of July 1st, there were none. Assaults, 4 in January, 2 in February, 1 in March, 4 in April, 2 in May, 0 in June. And again, as of July 1st, there was 1. Burglary, 2.
Excuse me 1 second. Can I ask a question? What's the difference between robbery and larceny? And are any of these categories include data? Are any incidents shown in more than one category?
Okay, well, larceny is basically a theft, where if you go into a business and you steal property from that business and then leave, that falls, it's more like a shoplifting, but that falls under larceny. Theft from auto kind of speaks for itself. It's breaking into someone's vehicle and taking property out of the vehicle, so it's classified as a theft from auto. Robbery is a crime against a person. It can either be armed robbery, that means you're armed with some type of weapon, or it's robbery where you're demanding property from somebody but no weapon to display, so it would be classified as a robbery. So that's kind of the differences between these Part 1 crimes, and these crimes are dictated by the Uniform Crime Reporting through Maryland State Police. So these are how we document our Part 1 offenses.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So burglary in January, we were at 2, February 1, March 0, April 0, May 3, June 0, as of July 1st, 0. Larceny, January, we were at 6, February 11, March 8, April 20, May 14, June 28, as of July 1st, 0. Theft from auto, 1 in January, 2 in February, 8 in March, 1 in April, 4 in May, 1 in June, July, 0. Auto theft, January 2, February 1, March 1, April 4, May 1, June 1, as of July 1st, 0. So totally, Ward 6 crime statistics was at 145 between January 1st of this year to July 1st of this year, 2022. Ward 6 accounts for approximately 42% of crime in the first half of 2022. So here is a comparison of Ward 6 data compared to their entire city and the percentage of total crime. So homicide, 0%, rape, 100%, robbery, 55.56%, assaults, 51.85%, burglary, 15.79%, larceny, 63.04%, theft from auto, 17.71%, auto theft, 35.71%, and the total being 42%. Year-to-date, top 5 repeated locations. We have Walgreens being the most prevalent location, and we also have few others where there were repeated offenses at such locations. So Walgreens, here we have a total number of reports of 48, 42 being larcenies, shoplifting, 1 armed robbery, 1 auto theft, 2 simple assaults, 1 fugitive from another Maryland jurisdiction, and 1 traffic hazard. Then we also have 1301 University Boulevard, where we had 8 reports, 5 larcenies, 2 vandalisms, 1 emergency petition. 7333 New Hampshire Avenue, we had 8 reports, 6 larceny auto parts, 1 larceny strip vehicle, and 1 theft of packages. Holton Lane, we had 4 reports, 1 robbery, 1 aggravated assault, which was family related, and 2 larcenies. Lark Avenue, we had 3 reports, 1 larceny, 1 theft auto, and 1 fraud forgery. 900 Merrimack Drive, we had 4 reports, 1 robbery commercial, 1 robbery individual, 1 embezzlement, and 1 fugitive from another Maryland jurisdiction. Now we are going to focus a bit on Walgreens. Walgreens accounts for 30.34% of Part 1 crimes in the first half of the year 2022 in Ward 6. Part 1 crimes at Walgreens were 44, and the total being 145. Percentage of larcenies at Walgreens and the 7-Eleven compared to the entire Ward 6. When compared to the entire Ward 6, 48.28% of larcenies occurred at the Walgreens located at 1329 University Boulevard, Takoma Park, during the time period of January 1st, 2022 through July 1st, 2022. More than half of the reported larcenies were at that establishment. 42 out of the 87 larceny reports were at Walgreens. When compared to the entire Ward 6, 5.75% of larcenies occurred at 1301 University Boulevard during the time period of January to July 1st, 2022. 5 out of the 87 larceny reports. Based on the reports at Walgreens, located at 1329 University Boulevard, there are 10 known suspects, 7 of whom have been arrested, and 2 of those arrestees are known repeat shoplifters at Walgreens. Events, day of the week by hour. So here we have a demonstration of the days which most of the crime occurs, and the time period. So it's more or less like a density. So here we have Saturdays between 10 and perhaps 11. We have Wednesdays to Thursdays between 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. We also have on Saturdays 1600, which is 4 p.m. And we also have 1500, which is 3 p.m. on Mondays. Events day of the week. So we have Mondays, we have Tuesdays, Wednesdays. So again, the days which which crime occurs frequently at Walgreens are Saturdays and Sundays, also Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, the least day for any crime at Walgreens per se. Then we have events day of the week at 1301 University Boulevard. Day of the week and hour, we have Wednesday. We also have Saturdays, we have Thursdays, and we have between Saturday and Friday, which is late Friday into Saturday. So that's like 2200, which is after 11 p.m. So this year there's depicts the days, which are Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So Saturday is the most active day at 1301 University Boulevard regarding crimes. This is the end of the presentation.
Okay, I just wanted to point out, you may be asking why we kind of pointing out Walgreens. Well, we're aware that it appears that over time we've had a high volume of calls, and we look at the crime percentage in Ward 6 where it's 42%. So we were trying to find, okay, what's going on? Why is Ward 6 percentage so high? What's causing this to spike, by 9% compared to last year? So we patrol officers obviously indicated that they were responding out there frequently for shoplifting. So we looked at Walgreens and kind of, came up with these numbers where there's, 42 larcenies, in 6 months that occurred, and officers are responding there multiple times throughout the day for shopliftings. And if you kind of recalculated the numbers, it would kind of bring the 42% of crime statistics in Ward 6, because Walgreens basically accounts for approximately 34% of all crime within Ward 6. So we identified this as a problem spot where it's kind of impacting the overall crime within Ward 6 and kind of sparking the numbers up and not kind of accurately reflecting the real crime that's actually occurring in Ward 6. We are currently developing a plan to address the situation at Walgreens. We're doing some enforcement actions, which I can't go into great detail about. We will also be reaching out to the regional manager with Walgreens to discuss other type of options that we can take to address the ongoing larceny issue at Walgreens. And as Zara indicated, that these are typically a lot of times repeat offenders where they go 4 or 5 different times with this a couple of weeks span. And unfortunately, our court system just kind of let them go again, and they're back out, and the cycle just keeps continuing and continuing. But we also understand that there is other crimes within Ward 6 that raises concerns with the citizens in Ward 6 area. I know the Overlook Towers has expressed concern about theft from autos, theft of catalytic converters, and other issues within the parking lot. We have spoke with management over there. We try to come up with some ways to address some of the issues over there. I will say that RS Automotive, located at Carroll and Grant, does have a program for catalytic converters where they will etch in your tag number on your catalytic converter. So in the event that it is stolen, the police can track it down by having the tag number etched on the catalytic converter. We've had a couple of robberies. There's a couple that occurred at the 7-Eleven at 900 Merrimack Drive. I know for one of the armed robberies, we were able to apprehend the suspect that day. And he was charged with the armed robbery at that location. Assault numbers are high, but I want to make it clear that probably 40% of all these assaults are probably domestic related, acquaintance related, or to that degree. It's not like a stranger on stranger type assault thing. There's usually some type of connection between the people involved in the assault. It's just not random people walking down the street getting assaulted. So, and a lot of these are domestic related. So I kind of just wanted to open it up to the floor and, welcome any questions to see if we can, get your concerns and address those concerns.
Can I clarify whether the 1301 University Boulevard issue is basically the 7-Eleven that on that corner?
Yeah, it's a 7-Eleven, and realistically, the numbers for that particular 7-Eleven really isn't all that high and not really anything to be too alarmed about, but we do try to monitor that area as much as possible because obviously numbers are a little bit higher than we would like them to be. But our real concern is the Walgreens there, because that our officers are spending way too much time, resources dealing with that particular problem. So we're trying to take a more proactive approach to this and working with the regional manager and try to come up with a game plan to reduce the amount of shopliftings that occur at that area, which will also help the overall crime rate within Ward 6.
I have a question about the one slide, the map, where the different incidents were shown on top of the map at Takoma Park. Is it possible to get a link to that where, the viewer could blow it up and change the scale and kind of see the patterns a little bit more? Because one of the questions I've had is some of the incidents that occur in residences, is it like, people coming in from University Boulevard, so the homes that are close, from New Hampshire, so that the homes that are closer to New Hampshire tend to have slightly higher rates than homes that are further away from New Hampshire.
So you're wanting Zara to pull up her hotspot map where it shows where the crimes are occurring, or?
Yeah, is it possible for that to be brought up where the scale can be adjusted to see the distribution a little bit better geographically?
Zara, are you able to do that?
I could try.
I mean, I think most of her hotspot stuff is pertaining to Walgreens, I think, and
Yeah.
the thefts that are occurring, when they're occurring, the timeframes that they're occurring. I don't think it's capturing all the crime within Ward 6. I think it was more designed specifically for Walgreens. I mean, but we can be happy to put something together for overall Ward 6 of hotspots, so you have a general idea of where some of the hotspots are besides the
Well,
Walgreens.
when I read the reports that go out from your public affairs officer, sometimes it seems like the person has walked in a block or two from New Hampshire and, sort of looked for a target of opportunity and conducted a robbery or burglary. In one case, the person went into a house and there was a contractor working inside. So it just seems like maybe since we're close to a busy street like New Hampshire, we're also, maybe more prone to those kinds of crimes of opportunity. That's sort of the gist of what I'm
Well,
wondering.
absolutely. Any type of burglary, whether it's a commercial burglary or a residential burglary to an apartment or a house, those are all typically crimes of opportunity. And when you're in such a high populated area along New Hampshire Avenue and University Boulevard, you have a variety of apartments in that particular area, as well as single family homes. That does provide a greater increase of opportunity for criminals to break into your home or break into your car to commit some type of crime. I know that our SAT unit, which is an undercover unit, works several details in the overlook towers, trying to address some of the car break-ins where airbags have been stolen, as well as several catalytic converters. I know our patrol officers frequently patrol the streets. As we know, Ward 6 is probably the busiest beat within the city of Takoma Park, and our officers spend a majority of a lot of their time down there because there is so busy between accidents and calls for service and so forth like that. So we do have a very heavy police presence. Unfortunately, we can't control the crime of opportunity. If an officer drives down the street, as soon as we turn the corner, they may break in or try to steal something from a car. That's why it's a crime of opportunity. But we do our very best to show as much police presence down there as we can throughout all the neighborhoods, as well as the apartment buildings.
Hey, so this is Talisha. One question at first, thank you all so much for taking time out and meeting with us today. I really appreciate it. One of the things that I noticed, Zara, in your presentation is the uptick on the weekends. And I know that the presentation was focused more on part one crime, but there's a lot of activity that happens in terms of, mic'd preachers and random parking lot parties, and there's just a lot of things that happen on the weekends. Can you all talk a little bit about whether or not there's a possibility for increased patrol on the weekends? I know that the weekends tend to be a little bit more lively, and I don't know if it's in part because a number of the different businesses and office spaces are not open on the weekends, but there just seems to be a lot of activity on the weekend. So it would be helpful to hear about anything that you all are planning to do in response to the Walgreens to increase patrol on the weekends.
Yes, I'll let Lieutenant Williams answer it, but I will share that I know Crossroads, Kaylee, we had developed a grant where officers can work 4 hours Saturday and a Sunday between, I believe, 10 and 8. And so there's actually an officer designated to that area of the parking lots there in the Crossroad development, at least 4 hours on a Saturday and Sunday. So that does dedicate an officer to that particular location, which I think helps increase the patrol in that area and hopefully is some type of deterrent to prevent some crime occurring over the weekend and address some of these issues. I'll let Lieutenant Williams discuss what the patrol can do on their level or have done at this point. Lieutenant Williams?
Hey, good evening. So probably the uptick on the weekends is because there's more people out on the weekends. So you're going to have a higher, percentage, obviously, because there's, just more people that are not working. But there's a lot of things that, and let me break down patrol real quick. So a patrol squad has up to 6 members. Our minimum staffing is 4 for the whole city at any given time. So if we have 4 working, that's basically 1 per beat and a supervisor. Takoma Park has 70 miles of street. So trying to, you see an officer go by, people say, well, I don't see an officer. Well, I mean, if we're covering all these streets, it's, if you happen to look out your window and you're like, well, I don't see them. I know that, so one of the issues with the Walgreens, and we addressed it a little bit, is I think the word is out. It's a group. It's usually, most of them are drug addicts. They all have a common denominator there. The staff there, they just let them walk out. So of course, what are you going to do as a thief? Hey, just go in there. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to stop you. They're going to let you walk out. They only have security, I think, in the evenings or overnight. A lot of times they're like, yeah, we really don't want to file a report. We just want our stuff back. But we're like, no, it doesn't work like that. And then you have the justice system, the judiciary system, where, if something is under $100, they don't want you to transport somebody up to the jail for that. They want you to write the citation. Well, most people either, don't really have the right address, or they're not going to come to court. So it's kind of like that circle that just continues, where you're getting warrants, you're not showing up, and then they just keep coming back. So that's just that cycle we're just having the problem with. Honestly, I don't know how long Walgreens will stay in business right there. I have been in that store, and the shelves are so bare. They don't even keep the stock that they used to have when they first opened. So, we have patrols there. I've been working with, I know that Rhonda and Dale, I've been talking with them, and I know they have issues, by their house, and we're trying to address those. It's that cycle again, we have, and we're trying, we really are trying, they, as soon as they notice a decrease, then I'll get some more emails. It's happening again. And I'm like, okay. So I get on the guys, hey, especially right there at that corner of, Hammond and Kirkland, where it's the do not enter. So, sitting over there doing traffic, or coming through and addressing the people that are either sitting in their cars or sitting out on the curbs, drinking, the littering and things of that nature. It's just, I mean, every ward has their little problem areas and we're trying to address them all, but, you know, people have been really great providing the information and we're really trying, but it seems like as soon as one thing, we address one thing, they see us across the street. Well, that's our opportunity to go to Walgreens or things like that. So.
I'm not sure we answered your question, council member CFC.
No, that this is helpful. And again, definitely appreciate, I recognize it's a game of whack-a-mole, given not only what's happening here, but what's happening just nationally in terms of crime rates. And I have been in conversations with the Crossroads Business Association, and I do know that they've been working to try to make sure that there's an increased presence in their lots. I was just wondering if there's things that we can do. And if it's a capacity issue, and it is that game of whack-a-mole. So I appreciate all that you all are doing to try to help us with addressing some of these issues. I see Sherry has her hand raised.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sherry Beamer. I live at 7333 New Hampshire, the Takoma Overlook. So that presentation was very helpful. We have ongoing conversations about safety and crime in our area. I'm wondering if you can share the PowerPoint with us for reference.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Mhm. Yeah.
Will you put it in the?
I'll type in my email and
Okay.
Y'all can just email me and say hello or something. I'll give the list to Zara and I'll have her send it out to you. That's not a problem.
Great. Thank you.
And like I said, before we used to have a big problem with the hotel there next to the apartments. It appears that calls for services have calmed down a little bit. It doesn't appear to be such a high volume as it has been over the years. We still do have our periodic sex offenses that occur there, maybe a few drug issues, but overall it seems like crime is kind of diminished a little bit there. I mean, it's not going away because it's a hotel, so you're going to have crime there, but luckily it doesn't seem to be overwhelming at this point. So that's one good thing. I know officers are trying to address any of the drinking issues going on or loud parties. I know that the church, I think it's a Zion Lutheran church across from the hotel, used to be a serious issue, especially during the summer hours with loud music, and the neighbors along Wildwood would frequently complain. I'm not aware of any, major complaints this year. But we do have a noise ordinance. We do have noise meters. So if we do encounter any large parties or loud music, then we can use our noise meters to address any noise issues and cite them if necessary. So we do have those tools available to us as well. Any other questions or concerns that we can address? Yes.
Hi, thank you for offering this presentation. I live in Hillwood Manor, and one of the questions I have is there seems to be a lot of very loud cars and motorcycles that go up and down New Hampshire Avenue with specialized, I don't know, I'm not a car person, so I'm guessing it's somehow special exhausts to make the noise even louder. And I'm just wondering, I know some neighbors have, in addition to myself, have made comments about wondering whether you can do anything about that, because it sounds like you've been trying to tackle that issue in other parts of the city, but not on New Hampshire Avenue.
Yeah, I mean, there are traffic laws pertaining to the exhaust system, and that if it's extremely loud, that the officer can initiate a traffic stop, and there's appropriate citations that can be issued to address those loud exhaust systems that that may be legal or hyped up, in some way to make it like a fancy sports car sound or something like that. So there are traffic laws to address that, and I'm sure our officers, if they hear it or and see it, would probably would hopefully take appropriate traffic enforcement.
The issue is, I mean, that there's like a lot of guys on motorcycles doing it. So I mean, unless you're standing somewhere,
motorcycles
it's not going to happen.
Is a tricky thing because 90% of the motorcycles probably don't have a tag on it. And if we do stop it, most likely they're going to take off, and our officers are not going to pursue a motorcycle for any reason, unless it was involved in some type of violent crime.
Yeah.
But other than that, the officers aren't even going to attempt to deal with that. So it's just too much of a dangerous situation. So Okay, but we appreciate bringing that to our attention. We'll let our officers know just kind of when they're monitoring New Hampshire Avenue, keep an extra ear out. If they see cars with loud exhaust system, to pull them over and address the issue appropriately. Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay. And I'm trying to find my chat button here to give you my email, but I'm not seeing it.
It's down at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bottom and I'm not seeing a chat thing going on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I don't know why. So
Hmm.
I'll be happy to give you my email now if somebody has something to write it down.
Sure.
And if not, I can also give you my phone number. You can feel free to just give me a call and give it to me that way as well. So it's Richard, C as in Charlie, at TacomaParkMD.gov. And my phone number is 301-891-7117. That's my direct line to my office. Feel free to give me a call anytime you have an issue or concern, or just want to say hello. Okay. All right. So is there any other concerns that we can address? I know Ward 6 is a complicated area just because of the high traffic volume, especially during rush hour, and the high populated area with the overlook towers, all the apartments surrounding the area. There's a lot of little situations going on. As for the preacher, if you see him or her and they're blocking the path of people, or the mic is like extremely loud, to please call us. We'll come out, we'll speak with the person, we'll address it, we'll see if we can get them to move somewhere else, lower the microphone tone. I mean, he or she's not really causing harm to people, but if it's a nuisance and it's loud and bothering other people, we can at least try to talk to the person and see if we can address it and come up with other means to resolve that situation. I know there's been several serious robberies. I know the jewelry store got robbed a couple times on New Hampshire Avenue, which was pretty brazen. Unfortunately, we are still trying to work on that case. I know a couple of other jurisdictions had similar cases. Another thing that impacted crime statistics throughout the year so far is along the New Hampshire Eastern Avenue border, we had a rash of residential burglaries where houses were being broken into at the middle of the night, and they were stealing their vehicles. We were able to identify a suspect in that case. He lived in DC right across the line. And we were at this point able to link him to 30 different incidents ranging from burglaries, auto theft from vehicles, as well as several victims that occurred in DC. So that really kind of helped spike us, because really, I think in the first 4 months of the year, crime rate was actually down. Then we all of a sudden got hit with all these burglaries and auto thefts and theft from autos over by the DC line up to the college, Montgomery College, which kind of raised the numbers and kind of put us over, increased the crime rate. And then Walgreens isn't helping the situation with the overall crime rate in Takoma Park, based on the number of larcenies that are occurring at this particular location. So luckily we were able to shut down this guy and arrest him. We're still working on trying to identify additional suspects that were working with him and associated with him, and as well as with DC police, to try to apprehend even more people associated with that type of incident. So if we can, we're still going to work as hard as we can and to try to reduce crime. We work with our counterparts in PG County and DC police on a regular basis. Our investigators share information on a regular basis about any crimes occurring across the borders. If they have an incident, they call us. Our investigators work with them. We've closed out several cases working with each other. So the line of communication is excellent between PG County and DC and Montgomery County. And we've been able to resolve a lot of cases. So we will be striving to get these numbers down, because the numbers are high and I don't like it. I kind of take it personal. So we're going to do everything in our power to get the crime reduced and to take care of some of these little issues that are impacting the community. All right. Is there any other questions?
I think Drew has his hand raised.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I just
can't
actually wanted
see
to reiterate what you just said. First of all, thank you everyone so much for hosting this. I live over in Hillwood Manor as well, right on Erskine and 14th. So literally 2-3 houses in from Prince George's County. We've had issues in the past in our area. I can think of one last year where someone who presumably had alcohol in their system slammed into 7 or 8 cars and then drove right into Prince George's County. And they actually live 2 blocks in. And there was an issue. I know our colleagues and our friends here actually contacted, I'm not sure if it was Takoma Police, Montgomery Police, I'm not sure who they contacted. And the issue was, well, the person's in Prince George's, we can't really do much. And then when they contacted Prince George's, they said, well, it happened in Montgomery, so we can't really do much. And as far as we know, nothing happened. What exactly is the relation? I feel like someone could do something here in Hillwood Manor and walk a block, and they're in Prince George's, and oh, well, there's not much that we can do about that. And we've actually heard that. And again, I don't know if it was Takoma Park Police who said that to us or Montgomery County. I do not know who said that, but it was quite a few cars that were damaged and almost a couple people that were run over. This was a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And that was the response. So how does that work? Especially since we literally are 2 or 3 houses in from Prince George's in this neighborhood. How does that work?
I can address that. That clearly just sounds pure laziness on the officer's part. If it's where the crime occurred, it doesn't matter where somebody lives. Now there are issues as far as when, you know, you give chase, it doesn't mean like we're chasing them, but when you cross a jurisdictional boundary, it just depends on which boundary, but it doesn't mean that somebody still can't be charged. So I'm, you know, the best thing I can suggest, if you have any issues, if it's not necessarily, even if it is an emergency, to call our non-emergency line, because you bypass the 911 system and you go directly into our 24-hour monitored dispatch at the police station on Maple Avenue, and that's 301-270-1100. But by all means, if it's an emergency, the reason why the 911 system works best is because it GPS tracks where you are. But that's probably what happened. I can look into it if, you know, I don't know. I'd probably have to, was it on Erskine?
It was down 14th Street.
14th. Okay, I can look into it. I can have my traffic guy look into it also, see if he can find the report, because something like that would have generated a report. And this is off topic, but how do y'all like that LED stop sign? I'm a fan of it. It's the only one in the city. I'm really trying to push. Hopefully they can spend some money on that. There's a couple I'd like to see around the city, but I personally like it, but I don't know how y'all feel about it.
It's bright. It's definitely bright. I think I've seen it on Erskine. I think I've seen it. I've seen a difference. I can say I think I have seen a difference with that. Actually, Lieutenant, can I just follow up on what you just mentioned about 911, especially where we are? There was a fire 3 doors down about a month ago, and when we all tried calling 911, we were sent over to Prince George's initially, who then said, "Oh no, you have to go to Montgomery." Is that just because of the area we're in? Those of us who might still have landlines, is it better for us to just use a landline as opposed to our cell phones? How can we avoid going back and forth? Because that was a good chunk of time we lost, being juggled back between Prince George's and Montgomery.
Yeah, it depends. So if you call 911, it hits off of towers, and in that area, you know, especially closer to DC, you could get DC Tower, Montgomery Tower, or PG Tower. Now, because Takoma Park used to be you know, by county, and it was half in PG, and that area used to be PG County. The fire department is a little different. PG County, some of their first due, meaning that their response area is in Montgomery County. So you'll see like the station from Hyattsville respond or get the call before Takoma Park would. They would still get the call, but it's called like first due. That's their area, but that could be the issue. So I'm not sure. Like, I think when you tell someone your address, you say Takoma Park, and then it's just a game of just like, you know, listen, send Hyattsville, send Takoma Park, whoever you got to send, somebody's house is on fire. And they can figure it out from there. But usually on situations, all fires, you're getting, especially in that area, you're going to get by county anyway. They're both going to come. It's just I guess the dispatching game. So unfortunately, I really can't, speak for them, because, I really don't know how they would do that, but that would be the best explanation on how it's handled.
Lieutenant, would it be possible for somebody to call a dispatch directly if they had a direct number other than 911?
For us, it's the 301-270-1100, which is, it's operated 24 hours. It's answered 24 hours. Now, even if it say for instance, you call and you want to talk to somebody and not have to deal with, well, you're here, that particular dispatcher would be able to, talk you through exactly where you are and have a little more patience than somebody that's, fielding, could be 7 to 75 calls depending on what kind of emergency is coming in. So it would slow it down a little bit for probably a quicker response. That's just me. But the reason for the 911 system is if you are truly having an emergency and there's some kind of disconnect, they can GPS track, or you will know where that call came from. So that's the only difference.
And I will say that this is an issue, again, not just for Ward 6, as Lieutenant mentioned. It's basically for a number of the areas where there is this cross-jurisdictional issue. The police chief is aware. There's been conversations at a higher level to really try to correct that problem. Because again, it doesn't just plague us. There are other parts of the city where they're directly border DC. And so depending on whether or not they call from their cell phone and which tower. So I think there are definitely higher conversations that are happening to try to address that issue. But for the time being, get whoever you can get out there as soon as possible in the case of an emergency. But if you really want to make sure that you're able to reach the Takoma Park Police and it's a non-emergency situation, to definitely call that non-emergency number. And that way, for sure you'll get the right folks responding. And I did have my hand up to talk just a little bit about traffic. And so I like the flashing stoplight. We did warn the residents in the immediate vicinity, like, this sucker is going to be bright. But I've only heard positive things about that. In fact, I've had other people from other areas asking who, what, when, where, and how do we get one, right? So I think that's a good thing. But, we're getting ready to go back. The kids are going back to school. And right now the traffic is a little calm just because of it being the summer. But prior to, and typically when school is in session, areas like Erskine, Wildwood, Glenside typically get a lot of traffic, and a lot of speeders. Can you talk a little bit about, kind of what we can do or what you all are planning to do in terms of trying to address, issues of traffic? Like, how can we, if we're dealing with speeders or, issues with traffic once it picks up, particularly when school is back in session, what we may be able to do?
Because we have our own traffic division, usually, especially, the beginning of the school year, we show a greater presence in the school areas and especially with the construction on New Hampshire and University, people, if those back streets, you're going to take the back street to kind of cut through. Wildwood is probably one of our biggest complaints is for speeding. But yeah, I'm going to have our traffic unit address it, our patrol, especially, in the mornings between 7:30 and probably like, I guess 8:20. Those are like the main times. Most of the kids 8:20, 8:40, where they're going to, be boarding the school buses and walking and things like that. And then again in the afternoon when they get out of the schools, it should be like 15 or talking military time, 3 p.m., things like that.
Yeah. And Public Works has been great too, because we've gotten like a number of new speed bumps on Wildwood and putting in some crosswalks. So yeah, I think the combination of all of those is really helpful.
And that's a question. I think I know the answer to this. Mike Moore on 13th Avenue. In DC, certain problematic intersections obviously have the stop sign cameras. I assume those are not lawful under Maryland law, because I've never seen one in Maryland.
No, so there's that question does come up a lot. No, it is not. I'm not even sure if it was brought forth towards the legislature. But yeah, they have only the red light cameras and then the speed cameras, but there are no stop sign cameras in Maryland as of yet.
Okay, thanks.
I will say that we are currently working on having several red light cameras installed and throughout the city. I think there's practically 6 of them. So, that's going to be distributed throughout the city, which will hopefully control some of the traffic and accidents and the pedestrian safety with these red light cameras installed. So we're kind of looking forward to those being installed and having a positive impact in the areas.
Oh, can I say this? So if you know any of your neighbors that want to be a crossing guard, we are still looking for crossing guards. We've been interviewing all summer. We had 3 that retired, and one interview went really well yesterday, and I hope he comes on board. But in the meantime, we're going to be using our civilian staff and our officers, which is going to take away from regular patrol because we have to staff these crossing guard issues. But yeah, if you know anybody, please apply. It's a great, especially if you are retired, it's a great gig, especially live close to the city. The city just got, and I think in September, it'll be a 6.5% raise for crossing guards. So if that's another incentive, pushing it to almost $17 an hour. So I just want to throw that plug in there.
Any other questions? Hello? Yes. Yes. You have a question?
Oh, no, I'm just looking to see who's on the call.
Okay. All right. Unless there's any other topics that you would like to discuss, I can see we can conclude the meeting at this point. Like I said, you have my email, you have my contact number. If you feel free to reach out to me, email, call me anytime that you would like about any issues or concerns that you have, and we'll be happy to talk to you and work through it. Okay. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Hopefully you learned a lot, and we got some stuff resolved. So I look forward to talking with you guys in the future.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.